In front of me I have the Joby Gorillapod 5K and 3K, and these are becoming extremely popular with vloggers nowadays. I'm not much a vlogger myself, but I like to use these as tripods like this or wrap them around the pole, and they're much easier to travel with than a normal tripod like this one. And also, as you all know, these can be easily converted into great selfie sticks. And just by looking at these, the 5K is obviously bigger and maybe a little more sturdier and heavier. So the 5K is obviously the better option here, but then the problem is the 5K is more than 2 times more expensive than the 3K, and sometimes even 3 times more. So before I got these, I've been asking this question myself: how much can the 3K hold? Will it be able to handle my cameras, and will it last long? Or should I just go for the quality and get the 5K instead? And for me, since I started shooting mostly on full frame cameras, I decided to go with the 5K, and I thought this would be a much safer choice. I'm filming myself with a 6D Mark II right now, but as I've demonstrated before, this thing with a full frame camera and a full frame lens in front of it, it's not the most ideal setup for vlogging because it gets really heavy. But you know, some people are stronger than me, and some people might want to sacrifice their arms for better quality. So today I'm going to compare these two by testing how much weight they can hold by using actual equipment, not just numbers. And if you have a camera that I don't have, and if you want to know which one you should buy, hopefully I can answer that question for you today. So just to make your lives a little easier, I would say if you have a mirrorless camera, you should go for the 3K. I think this will be able to handle any mirrorless cameras, like even the Sony full frame cameras like the a7 III, a7R III, a7S II, and also any form of APS-C size sensor DSLR cameras like the Canon 80D, Canon 70D, and anything smaller than that. And maybe except the Nikon D500 and Canon 70 Mark II, I think this will be able to handle any other cameras. And here I have the Canon SL2 with the Canon 10-18 with a Rode Video Micro attached to it. And this is a perfect vlogging setting right here, and it's extremely light, and I wouldn't call this small, and this camera is really as small as any other mirrorless cameras. And I bought a few other Joby Gorillapods before this generation, and this seems a lot sturdier than any of those. And the 3K legs are actually a lot stiffer than I imagined them to be. Although they are a lot smaller than the 5K, the sturdiness and the stiffness I think are very similar. And with the 5K, like I said, anything bigger than a Canon 80D, this will be able to handle. But I guess the question is, how much can it hold? So I've used this with my Canon 6D Mark II, and the 6D Mark II is actually very similar in terms of weight and size with the Canon 80D, but the full frame lenses are usually a lot bigger than APS-C lenses. So for example, this is the Canon 10-18, and the full frame equivalent that you can use on a full frame camera is the 16-35. And look at the difference in size here, and this is also much heavier. So when you're using a full frame camera, you have to consider that as well. You're not just bulking up the size of your cameras, you're also going to have to use bigger lenses as well. So how sturdy is the 5K really? And when you go to the Joby website, there's a picture of the 5K with the 1DX attached to it with a 70-200, which is quite incredible. But I'm going to test this out myself, because just putting on a big camera on it and saying that this can hold the weight is one thing, but actually being able to use this every day with a big camera attached to it, wrapped around a tree or as a tripod, that's a completely different thing. And unfortunately, I don't have a Canon 1DX because I'm not a plastic surgeon, but I'm going to mimic that by using my 5D Mark III with the battery grip attached to it, and I'm also going to attach my Canon 70-200. This is the same lens that they're showing on the Joby website, and this is also the heaviest lens that I own right now. So let's try that, shall we? Put that on here, and a moment of truth. Whoa. Alright, I don't think this is gonna work out. I think I'm gonna have to attach this to the tripod mount. Alright, that's much better. This thing is ridiculous. So as you can see, I think as long as it's well balanced, I think it can hold the weight no problem. I mean, how practical is this? I'm not entirely sure. But look at this thing's like a machine gun. Oh shit, I gotta delete all those photos now. So anyway, I'm going to switch this with something much more reasonable, and I'm going to take these outside to test these out in a much more real world scenarios, and I'll come back to give you guys my final opinion.
The thing you have to remember about Gorillapods is that there's no one right way to use them, but unfortunately there's also a lot of wrong ways to use them. And what I would like to say to that is just use common sense. Don't put on too much weight, don't put them on slippery surfaces, and when you wrap them up on a tree, don't just hit record and walk away. Make sure to wait a little bit and see if anything's moving and if the weight is well balanced. And don't wander off too far away from the camera so you can catch it if it falls, and also so that no one steals your camera. For vlogging, again, the 3K combo's weight and size is much more suitable for that, but if you do need a bigger camera, you really can't go wrong with the 5K. But unlike what the website says, I still wouldn't recommend using it with a camera like the 1DX Mark II or the D5.
So that's pretty much it for me today, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.